The soft hum of computers filled the bridge of the UES Thunderchild as Captain Rachel Anderson stared at the main screen. Her blue eyes narrowed as she studied the strange signal patterns dancing across the display. After 15 years in space, she thought she had seen everything, but this was different. "Lieutenant Cooper, what do you make of this?" she asked, turning to her communications officer. James Cooper's fingers flew across his keyboard as he analyzed the incoming transmission. "Captain, it's definitely not human in origin," he said, pushing his glasses up his nose. "The pattern is too complex too. Alien." He paused, then added, "But here's the strange part. It's being broadcast on frequencies we shouldn't be able to detect with our current technology." Anderson walked over to his station, her boots making soft thuds against the metal floor. "Can you clean it up?" "Working on it now, ma'am." Cooper's fingers danced across the controls, and suddenly, the bridge speakers crackled to life. The message that came through changed everything. "Attention primitive species of Sol 3, a cold, mechanical voice announced. "You have been detected by the Galactic Council. Your recent technological advances have brought you to our attention. Submit to our authority and accept protectorate status, or face the consequences." The bridge fell silent. Anderson's jaw tightened as she exchanged looks with her crew. 20 pairs of eyes stared back at her, waiting for her response. "Send this up the chain of command," she ordered. "And Cooper, I want everything you can get from that transmission. Every detail, every background noise, every frequency variation." "Yes, Mom," Cooper replied, already diving back into his work. Hours passed as the Thunderchild maintained its position at the edge of the solar system. Anderson paced the bridge, her mind racing. Earth had always wondered about alien life, but not like this. Not with threats and demands. Cooper's excited voice broke through her thoughts. "Captain, I found something." Anderson rushed to his station. "What is it?" "Their transmission. It's not as advanced as they want us to think," Cooper said, pointing to his screen. "See these patterns here? They're using a form of quantum encryption, but it's predictable. They're so confident in their superiority that they've gotten sloppy." He pulled up another display. "I've been running their signal through our new decryption algorithms. Look at this. It's a complete map of their communication protocols. And if we can crack their communications, we can crack their defenses," Anderson finished, a small smile forming on her lips. "Good work, Lieutenant." The bridge's main screen suddenly lit up with an incoming transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Thomas Mitchell's stern face appeared before them. "Captain Anderson, we've received similar messages across all our outer colonies," Mitchell said without preamble. "The Galactic Council has given us 48 hours to surrender." "Sir, Lieutenant Cooper has made a discovery you need to see," Anderson replied, nodding to Cooper to send the data. Mitchell's eyes widened as he reviewed the information. "This could change everything. But we need to move fast." He looked directly at Anderson. "The Council thinks we're primitive, Captain. They expect us to either surrender or fight stupidly. They don't expect us to understand their technology, let alone find weaknesses in it." "What are your orders, sir?" "Continue monitoring and gathering intel. I'm calling an emergency meeting with Earth's Defense Council. This may be our only chance to show these aliens that humanity won't bow down to threats." Mitchell's expression hardened. "They think we're primitive. Let's show them how dangerous primitive can be." As the transmission ended, Anderson turned to her crew. "Everyone, double shifts. I want every piece of data we can get from their transmissions. The Council thinks we're easy prey, but they've just made a serious mistake." Cooper looked up from his station. "What's that, Captain?" Anderson's eyes gleamed with determination. "They underestimated humanity. And from what I've read in the history books, that's never ended well for anyone." The Thunderchild continued its silent watch at the edge of the solar system, its crew working tirelessly to decode more Council transmissions. In the vast darkness of space, the first moves of a conflict that would shake the galaxy were being made. All because an alien civilization made the classic mistake of judging humanity by its age rather than its potential. Little did the council know, they had just awakened a sleeping giant. Admiral Thomas Mitchell stood before Earth's Defense Council in the underground bunker of New Geneva. The large screen behind him showed images from the UES Thunderchild's discovery. 50 of Earth's top military and political leaders sat in tense silence as he spoke. "Ladies and gentlemen," Mitchell said, his voice firm, "what you're seeing is proof that we are not alone in the galaxy, and more importantly, proof that our first contact with alien life is not friendly." He clicked to the next slide, showing decoded alien transmissions. "Thanks to Lieutenant Cooper's work, we now know the truth about the Galactic Council. They're not peacekeepers, they're conquerors." The room erupted in whispers. Mitchell raised his hand for silence. "Over the past 24 hours, we've decoded hundreds of their messages. The Council has a pattern. They find developing civilizations, demand their surrender, and turn them into slave worlds. They call it protection. We call it empire building." Commander Elizabeth Hayes, leader of Earth's most advanced battle group, stood up from her seat. "Sir, how many civilizations have they conquered this way?" Mitchell's face darkened. 17 in the last century alone. And none of them ever fought back successfully. He paused, letting that sink in. "Until now." The giant screen changed to show technical diagrams. "This is Project Avalanche. For the past 5 years, we've been building something in secret, something that could either save or doom humanity." The image showed a massive battleship, unlike anything Earth had built before. Its design was sleek, dangerous, and completely new. "The UES Devastator," Mitchell announced. "Humanity's best-kept secret and our most powerful weapon. While the Council thinks we're still playing with simple rockets, we've been preparing for this day." Defense Minister Robert Parker leaned forward. "You're suggesting we strike first? That's a huge risk, Admiral." "The bigger risk is waiting," Commander Hayes cut in. "Every hour we delay gives them more time to position their forces. They expect us to either surrender or try a head-on attack. They don't expect us to have technology that can hurt them." Mitchell nodded at Hayes. "Commander Hayes is right. And she's also the person I'm recommending to lead this mission." Hayes stood straighter, her expression determined. The room turned to look at her. "The Devastator is ready," Mitchell continued. "We've installed experimental quantum shields based on the technology we decoded from their transmissions. Our weapons systems use principles they think we're centuries away from understanding. But most importantly, we have surprise on our side." He brought up a new image, a massive space station floating against a starfield. "This is their central command post, their stronghold, the heart of their empire, and thanks to Lieutenant Cooper's decryption work, we know it's vulnerable." The defense minister frowned. "You want to attack their headquarters? That's suicide." "No," Hayes spoke up, her voice clear and strong. "It's necessary. The Council's power comes from fear. They crush anyone who might threaten them. But they've grown overconfident. Their defenses have weak points, gaps they don't think anyone can exploit." Mitchell pressed a button, and the screen showed attack simulations. Commander Hayes will lead a single ship, the Devastator, straight into the heart of their territory. While they're busy preparing for a full invasion, they won't expect one ship, especially not one that can match their technology. The room fell silent as everyone considered the plan. Finally, the defense minister spoke again. "The consequences if we fail?" "Total subjugation," Mitchell answered honestly. "But if we do nothing, that's guaranteed anyway. At least this way, we fight on our terms." Commander Hayes stepped forward. "I studied every piece of data we have on their defenses. The Devastator can do this. My crew can do this. We just need the Council's approval." The defense minister looked around the room. One by one, heads nodded in agreement. "Very well," he said. "Project Avalanche is approved. Commander Hayes, you have 48 hours to prepare your crew and ship. After that, you take the fight to them." As the meeting ended, Mitchell approached Hayes. "Elizabeth, are you sure about this? It's practically a one-way mission." Hayes smiled grimly. "Sir, they threatened our planet, our families, our future. They think we're primitive and weak." Her eyes hardened. "It's time to show them just how wrong they are." Outside the bunker, the sun set on what might be humanity's last days of peace. But in the darkness, hope was taking shape in the form of a ship and a crew ready to change the course of galactic history. Chief Engineer Michael Roberts wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked inside the massive engine room of the UES Devastator. Red warning lights flashed around him as the quantum shield generators underwent their final test. "How's it looking, Mike?" Commander Hayes' voice came through his earpiece. She stood on the bridge, monitoring the test results. "Almost there, Commander," Roberts replied, adjusting another set of controls. "These shields are unlike anything we've ever built. Mixing our technology with what we learned from the Council's data, it's like teaching a dog to speak French. Possible, but tricky." The engine room hummed louder as power flowed through the new systems. Blue light pulsed along the quantum conduits, growing stronger with each cycle. Then, suddenly, everything clicked into place. The warning lights turned green. "We did it," Roberts shouted, checking his readings. "Quantum shields at full power. They're even stronger than we hoped." Up on the bridge, Hayes smiled. Around her, her crew worked at their stations, preparing the massive ship for its mission. The Devastator was a beautiful monster, a kilometer long, packed with weapons that could crack planets, and now protected by shields that could shrug off a small sun. "Patricia, how's the attack plan coming?" Hayes asked, turning to her strategic officer. Patricia Turner looked up from her complex display of star maps and defense patterns. "The Council's overconfidence is our biggest advantage, Commander. They guard their stronghold with automated systems, but the patterns are fixed. They never expected anyone to decode them." She pointed to a specific route through the star maps. "Look here, there's a gap in their sensor network every 6 hours. If we time it right, we can slip through their outer defenses without firing a shot." "And once we're inside?" Hayes asked. "That's where it gets fun," Turner grinned. "They've never upgraded their close-range defenses because they never thought anyone would get that far. Their arrogance is their weakness." At the weapons station, Daniel Thompson was running combat drills with his team. The Devastator's main gun wasn't just powerful. It was revolutionary. It could harness the energy of quantum space itself, turning it into a beam that could cut through anything. "Targeting systems are perfect," Thompson reported. "We've programmed in every weak point of their station design. One good shot is all we'll need." Hayes nodded, then walked to the front of the bridge where Robert Wilson sat at navigation. "How are the stealth systems working, Wilson?" "Like a dream, Commander," he answered, his hands dancing over the controls. "The quantum shields don't just protect us, they bend light around the ship. As far as their sensors are concerned, we'll be invisible until we want to be seen." A voice came over the ship's speakers. "All hands, this is Chief Roberts. Beginning final power-up sequence. All departments report readiness." One by one, each section of the massive ship reported in. Engineering, weapons, medical, navigation, everything had to be perfect. They would only get one chance at this. Hayes walked to the center of the bridge and pressed the ship-wide comm button. "This is Commander Hayes. In 12 hours, we launch on humanity's most important mission. The Council thinks we're primitive, savages who barely learned to walk upright. They expect us to bow down or die." She paused, looking around at her crew. "But they don't know humans. They don't know how we learn, how we adapt, how we take others' strengths and make them our own. The quantum shields protecting this ship, we took their own technology and made it better. The weapons we carry, we developed them while they thought we were still playing with gunpowder." The entire ship fell silent, listening to their commander's words. "Every person on this ship was chosen because you're the best at what you do. The Council has numbers, yes. They have 1,000 ships for every one of ours. But we have something they lost long ago. The drive to prove ourselves, the hunger to survive, and the courage to fight impossible odds. Roberts, back in engineering, smiled as he listened. The quantum shields pulsed with power around them, ready for their real test. Get some rest, Hayes concluded. Tomorrow, we show the galaxy why you should never underestimate humans. As the crew finished their preparations, the Devastator waited in its secret dock, hidden beneath the surface of Mars. Soon, this ship would either save humanity or be its last hope. But looking at her crew's determined faces, Hayes knew one thing for certain. Win or lose, the Council would never forget the day they challenged Earth. The UES Devastator slipped out of its Mars dock like a ghost. In the darkness of space, its quantum shields bent light around its hull, making the massive ship nearly invisible. On the bridge, Commander Hayes watched as Earth and Mars grew smaller behind them. Entering deep space, Navigation Officer Robert Wilson announced, his fingers steady on the controls. Course plotted through the unmapped sectors. If Lieutenant Cooper's data is right, we should avoid the main Council patrol routes. Hayes nodded, her eyes fixed on the main screen. Time to their space. 3 days at maximum speed, Wilson replied. We're using their own sensor gaps to hide our trail. The bridge crew worked in focused silence as the Devastator pushed deeper into unknown space. They had trained for months, but this was different. This was real. Suddenly, alarms flashed at the sensor station. Contact, called out Jennifer Martinez, the security chief. Council patrol ship at extreme range. Hold position, Hayes ordered calmly. Let's see if our stealth systems work as well as we hoped. The bridge crew held their breath as the alien ship moved closer. On the main screen, they could see its strange design. All sharp angles and glowing blue energy fields. It was 3 times smaller than the Devastator, but still dangerous. They're running standard patrol scans, Martinez reported, watching her displays. Wait, they're passing right by us. The quantum shields are working. They can't see us. A collective sigh of relief passed through the bridge, but their relief was short-lived. Commander, Wilson called out, his voice tense. You need to see this. Hayes moved to his station. On his screen, strange debris floated in space ahead of them. As they got closer, they could see it was wreckage. The remains of ships they didn't recognize. More victims of the Council, Hayes said grimly. Scan for survivors. Martinez worked her sensors. No life signs, but Commander, some of this wreckage has weapons damage. Signs of a battle. They fought back, Hayes realized. These weren't the first to resist the Council. As they moved past the graveyard of ships, Thompson at Weapons Control spotted something interesting. Commander, look at these readings. Some of these ships had advanced technology. The Council doesn't just target primitives, they eliminate anyone who might challenge them. The Devastator continued its journey, passing more evidence of the Council's true nature. They found destroyed colonies, abandoned stations, and more ship graveyards. Each discovery strengthened their resolve. On the second day, they had another close call. 3 Council ships appeared from nowhere, forcing Wilson to guide them through a dense asteroid field to avoid detection. Shields holding, Roberts reported from engineering as rocks bounced off their quantum defenses. But all this maneuvering is using more power than we planned. Hayes gripped her command chair as the ship threaded between 2 massive asteroids. How are our power reserves? We'll make it, Roberts assured her, but we'll need full power for what's coming. I recommend we drop to minimal systems for the next 12 hours to recharge. Hayes agreed. The ship went dark, running on emergency power only as they drifted through space. The crew spoke in whispers, as if the Council ships might hear them through the vacuum of space. During this quiet time, Hayes walked through her ship, checking on her crew. In the mess hall, she found them sharing stories about home, about why they volunteered for this mission. My sister's kids, one engineer said quietly. I want them to grow up free. The history books, another added. I want them to say we stood up when it mattered. On the final day of their journey, Wilson called out from navigation. Commander, we're approaching the outer marker. Council space begins here. Hayes stood in the center of her bridge. All hands to battle stations. This is what we trained for. The Devastator crossed the invisible line into Council territory. Ahead of them lay the heart of an empire that had crushed countless civilizations, but they carried with them humanity's greatest weapons: determination, ingenuity, and the element of surprise. Shields at maximum, Roberts reported. All systems ready. Hayes looked at her crew, each face showing a mix of fear and determination. Take us in, Mr. Wilson. Nice and quiet. Let's show them why you should never corner a human. The Devastator glided forward, silent as death, carrying humanity's hopes with it into enemy space. The Council's Stronghold loomed before them, a massive space station that looked like a metal star. Thousands of ships moved around it like bees around a hive. The Devastator hung in space, still invisible under its quantum shields. My God, whispered Daniel Thompson from his weapons station. It's bigger than we thought. Commander Hayes studied the fortress on her main screen. Security Chief Martinez, start your attack program. Let's blind them first. Jennifer Martinez nodded, her fingers flying over her console. After weeks of studying Council transmissions, she had created a special computer virus. Uploading now, she said. Their automated defenses won't know what hit them. The virus slipped through the Council's networks like water through cracks. One by one, their security systems began to fail. Warning lights flashed across the massive station, but the Council workers inside didn't panic. Their systems told them it was just a normal malfunction. First layer of defenses is down, Martins reported with a grim smile. They're so confident in their superiority, they never expected someone to hack their perfect system. Hayes turned to her tactical officer. Thompson, status of their weapon platforms. Blind as bats, Thompson replied. They still think their systems are working, but everything they see is what we want them to see. The Devastator moved closer, sliding between patrol ships that couldn't detect it. Inside the Council Stronghold, alarms finally began to sound as someone realized something was wrong. They're starting to figure it out, Martins warned. But too late. I'm in their main computer now. Suddenly, the station's outer defenses turned against their own ships. Automated weapon platforms powered down. Shield generators flickered and died. Confusion spread through the Council forces as their perfect systems betrayed them. This is incredible, Turner said from her strategic station. They never developed manual overrides. They trusted their computers so completely that they can't even fight back without them. Hayes stood from her command chair. Time to show ourselves. Mr. Roberts, drop the quantum shields on my mark. In engineering, Chief Engineer Roberts prepared the ship's systems. The quantum shields had hidden them perfectly, but now they needed that power for weapons. Ready, Commander, he reported. All power standing by to transfer to weapons and standard shields. Hayes took a deep breath. This was the moment that would change everything. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. She paused for 1 second. Drop shields. Now. The Devastator appeared in the heart of Council space, like a ghost becoming solid. Its black hull absorbed nearby light, making it look like a hole in space itself. Before the Council ships could react, Thompson launched their first attack. Firing EMP bursts, he announced. The Devastator's secondary weapons fired, sending pulses of energy that fried the electronics of nearby patrol ships. Small Council vessels went dark, drifting helplessly in space. Inside the station, panic spread. The Council had never faced an enemy this deep in their territory. Their leaders demanded answers, but their supposedly perfect technology was failing them. They're trying to reboot their systems, Martins reported, still working at her station. But my virus is spreading faster than they can fight it. Their entire network is falling apart. Hayes watched as council ships tried to organize a defense, but without their automated systems, their crews didn't know how to fight. Generations of relying on computers had left them helpless. "Message from the station," Wilson called out. "They're demanding we identify ourselves." "Put it on screen," Hayes ordered. A council leader appeared, tall, alien, and angry. "How dare you enter our space? Who are you?" Hayes stepped forward, her voice steady. "We are humanity. You threatened our world, demanded our surrender. We decided to answer in person." The alien's face showed shock as it recognized Earth's language. "Impossible. You're primitives. You couldn't have broken your codes, couldn't have matched your technology, couldn't have reached your home." Hayes smiled coldly. "You should have studied Earth's history. We humans have a habit of doing impossible things when someone calls us primitive." The council leader started to respond, but Hayes cut the transmission. "Thompson, target their main power core. Martinez, download everything you can from their computers. It's time to show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate humanity." The Devastator's main gun began to charge, its quantum-powered weapon preparing to deliver the shot that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Devastator's main gun glowed with blue-white energy as it prepared to fire. On the bridge, Commander Hayes watched as more council ships scrambled to attack them. Without their automated systems, the alien crews moved in chaos, unused to fighting on their own. "Main weapon at full charge," Thompson reported from his station, his hand steady on the controls. "Ready to fire on your command." Council ships approaching from all sides, Wilson warned from navigation. "They're trying to surround us." Hayes stood calm in the center of the bridge. "Let them come." "Chief Roberts, how are our shields holding?" "Strong and steady, Commander," Roberts replied from engineering. "Their weapons are powerful, but they don't know how to aim without computers. Most shots are missing completely." The first wave of council ships opened fire. Energy beams splashed against the Devastator's shields, creating beautiful patterns of light in space. But the human ship stood firm. "Return fire," Hayes ordered. "Show them what real combat looks like." Thompson's fingers danced across his weapons console. The Devastator's secondary guns came to life, firing precise shots at the attacking ships. Unlike the Council's wild firing, each human shot found its target. Council ships exploded or drifted away, crippled by the accurate fire. "They're calling for reinforcements," Martinez reported from her security station. "But my virus is spreading through their communication networks. Half their fleet can't even receive the signal." The massive council station loomed ahead of them, its defenses still trying to come back online. Inside, alien leaders watched in horror as a single human ship tore through their forces. "Main gun locked on target," Thompson announced. "Their power core is in our sights." Hayes nodded. "Fire." The Devastator's main gun fired a beam of pure quantum energy. The shot cut through space like a sword of light, hitting the station's central core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then entire sections of the massive structure began to break apart. "Direct hit," Thompson shouted. "Their main power grid is collapsing." But the Council wasn't finished yet. A massive ship, twice the size of the Devastator, emerged from behind the station. "Council flagship detected," Turner warned. "This one's different. They have manual controls." The flagship opened fire with everything it had. The Devastator shook under the assault. "Shields at 60%. Roberts called out. "They're hitting us with something new." Hayes gripped her command chair. "Wilson, attack pattern Delta. Thompson, charge the main gun again. Martinez, what can you tell me about that ship?" Martinez worked quickly at her console. "It's their Supreme Commander's vessel, built to work without computers in case of emergency. They've been holding it in reserve." The two ships circled each other like giant wolves. The Council flagship was bigger and stronger, but the Devastator was faster and more agile. "Shields at 40%. Roberts warned as another hit rocked the ship. Main gun needs 2 minutes to recharge, Thompson added. Hayes watched the enemy ship's movement pattern. Then she saw it, a weakness. Wilson, bring us in close. Really close. Commander, Wilson questioned, but followed orders. The Devastator dove straight toward the Council flagship. They're powering up their main weapon, Martine shouted. Hold course, Hayes ordered. At the last second, she called out, now, full power to rear thrusters. The Devastator shot upward just as the Council ship fired. The massive energy beam missed, hitting the already damaged station instead. More explosions rocked the Council stronghold. Main gun ready, Thompson reported. Fire. Aim for their bridge. The Devastator's quantum beam struck the flagship's command center. The massive Council ship's lights flickered and died, its bridge section completely destroyed. Around them, the remaining Council ships began to retreat. On the main screen, the Council stronghold was breaking apart, secondary explosions chaining through its structure. Download complete, Martines announced. I have everything. Their military data, their star maps, their entire command network. Hayes looked at the destruction around them. The mighty Council stronghold was in ruins. Their flagship drifted lifeless in space. Their perfect technological empire had been broken by a single human ship. Send a message to all frequencies, Hayes ordered. To all species under Council control, your masters have fallen. Humanity stands ready to help you reclaim your freedom. The Devastator hung in space, its hull scared but unbroken, as the symbol of Council power crumbled before it. The age of alien oppression was over. The age of humanity had begun. 3 months after the battle, Commander Hayes stood in the same underground bunker in New Geneva where the mission had begun. But this time, the room wasn't filled with just human leaders. Representatives from 12 formerly enslaved species sat around the table, their different shapes and colors making the room look like a painting come to life. The Council's power is officially broken, Hayes reported, showing images on the main screen. In the past 90 days, 37 worlds have declared their independence. Their empire has fallen apart faster than anyone expected. Admiral Mitchell, standing beside her, added, and it all started with one ship, one crew who proved that humanity shouldn't be underestimated. On the screen, images showed Council warships surrendering across the galaxy. Without their central command and automated systems, their fleet had collapsed. The data Jennifer Martinez told had exposed all their weaknesses. A tall, blue-skinned alien stood up. My people were under Council control for 300 years, he said in translated English. We forgot how to fight, how to think for ourselves. But humans, you showed us it was possible to resist. The Council's biggest mistake, Hayes replied, was thinking technology alone makes a civilization advanced. They forgot about courage, creativity, and determination. The room's attention turned to new images showing the Devastator. The legendary ship was now docked above Earth, its battle scars worn like medals of honor. Chief Engineer Roberts and his team had already started updating its systems with new discoveries from the Council's databases. What happens now? Asked another alien representative, this one looking like a giant praying mantis. Admiral Mitchell stepped forward. Now we help you rebuild. Earth has no interest in replacing the Council as galactic rulers. Instead, we propose an alliance, each species independent, but united in defense of freedom. The aliens murmured among themselves. Many had expected Earth to take control, to become the new Council. This offer of partnership surprised them. But you have the power, said the blue-skinned alien. Your ship, your technology. Which is exactly why we won't use it to control others, Hayes interrupted. Earth's history has taught us that real strength comes from working together, not from domination. As if to prove her point, the next images showed human ships helping former Council worlds. The UES Thunderchild, where everything had started, was now leading missions to free imprisoned species. Lieutenant Cooper's code-breaking skills were being taught to other races, helping them protect their own systems. We're already seeing amazing results from cooperation, Hayes continued. Chief Roberts is working with engineers from 3 different species to develop new shield technology. Security Chief Martinez has helped 6 worlds set up their own cyber defense systems. The mantis-like aliens translator buzzed as he spoke. The council kept us apart, told us we were all primitive compared to them. But together we're stronger than they ever were, Hayes finished. Admiral Mitchell pressed a button, and a new image appeared, plans for a space station. This is our proposal. A new station built at the neutral point between our territories. Not a fortress like the council's, but a place of learning, trade, and cooperation. The aliens studied the plans with interest. Already they were suggesting improvements, adding their own species' knowledge to the design. A small reptilian alien who had been quiet until now spoke up. And what of the council members themselves? Those who surrendered peacefully are being held on their homeworld, Hayes answered. Without their technology and empire, they're learning some hard lessons about true civilization. The meeting continued for hours as the different species worked together to plan their future. Outside the bunker, Earth had changed too. Humans looked up at the stars now not with fear, but with hope and excitement. Ships from a dozen worlds filled the skies, bringing trade, knowledge, and friendship. In orbit, the Devastator remained on guard, a symbol of both humanity's strength and its wisdom. The ship that had torn apart an empire now protected a growing alliance of free worlds. Commander Hayes left the meeting late that night. Looking up at the stars, she smiled, thinking about how much had changed because of one simple thing: the Council's mistake in underestimating humanity. Their arrogance had cost them their empire, but it had given the galaxy something better: freedom, unity, and a future where no species would ever be called primitive again. As she watched ships from Earth and their new allies pass overhead, Hayes remembered the words she told her crew before that historic battle: never corner a human. The Council had learned that lesson the hard way. Now the galaxy was better for it.